Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. This week we've got a very special guest in the studio tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about marketing, a little bit about client development, podcast creation. I mean, who knows what we're going to get into. It's going to be a lot, so make sure you stick around and hear all of this we've got going on with Melissa Campbell of Peak Media. I'm very excited to hear her story and how she got started in the marketing world and how she's sitting behind the chair today. But before we get to that, I want to give a big, wonderful shout out and thank you to the amazing folks that bring you this show each and every week. Building 5, Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelry, Falaya Real Estate, Lakeman's Health Center, Horizon Financial Group, Gage, McLavy's Limited, and Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge. Without further ado, Melissa, welcome to the show.
Oh, hi. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you on.
It's an honor. Yes.
Absolutely. I'm glad I got to break out my Patty G Show wine glasses for this.
This is the first time? Cheers.
It's not the first. It's the first time in a long time.
Okay.
So cheers.
Cheers. Okay.
Welcome.
You got to make eye contact. It's a rule.
Oh wait, that's a rule. We have to make eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this? Where is this written rule?
Look it up.
All right. So besides the great wine intelligence that you have, who are you and what the heck do you do?
I'm Melissa Campbell, mother of 2 amazing boys, Jackson, who's 15, and Grayson, who's 12. Entrepreneur and business owner. I'm really involved in philanthropic issues, big into autism. The battle against autism is something that's been a passion of mine for a really long time, probably 12 years now. And then I do a good amount of work for cancer as well. Just a Louisiana girl who fell into advertising, love it so much. So it's, it's a passion for me. It's something that I really do enjoy, and I'm thankful that I found it. But, big into football, LSU, the Saints. Moved to Baton Rouge a hot minute ago, pre-Katrina. I'm so happy here. Love it here. Love this community. And so I think that kind of describes me in a nutshell.
So you're a pre-Katrina Baton Rouge transplant.
And I remember coming here and, obviously the post-Katrina, we filled up fast here in Baton Rouge, and people would say, are you pre-Katrina or post-Katrina? I'm like, you're lucky to have me either way, but I'm pre-Katrina.
I completely forgot that was a saying that went around for a while. Are you a pre or post Baton Rougean? Mm-hmm. Because it's true. At the time, we had such an influx of people from New Orleans because they had nowhere else to go.
Right.
And we were an hour away. And so, throwing it back.
You don't remember that.
I do remember that.
You were in high school.
Oh, I do remember that. All right. Hang on now.
I'm teasing.
I remember some of that. Okay. Let's get real. So you say you fell into marketing. How does one fall into marketing? Is there this big wishing well that you walk by that says marketing and you fall over? I mean, what's the story there?
So I feel like my whole life has been a series of blessings, but I was a fashion merchandising major, and that's really what I wanted to do. And there were just really no jobs out there in that world at the time. And so a friend of mine was doing like temporary job placement, and an advertising agency, one of the largest in Louisiana at the time, was looking for a receptionist. And so my grandfather made me start working at 14. And he was a football coach and like a very hard work ethic, and really wanted to instill that in us at a young age. And so he was like, if you want Guess and Jabot and all the fancy things, you remember Guess and Jabot, right? You have to start paying your own way. And so I started answering phones for oil and gas company at 14. And then I started filing, and then I started doing accounting. And so every summer I would work there, and my friends were all at the country club having fun, and I was filing and answering phones. And so my girlfriend's like, it's probably going to be temporary. Like they'll, fall in love with you, and, maybe you'll like advertising. And so I remember meeting the 2 gentlemen that I met, who I'm still dear friends with, Donnie Piku and Ray Reggie. And they hired me, and within like 4 months I was, working in the media department. And so kind of really found my way there. And, we had some incredible clients, so I really got to learn a lot. So automotive is a big vertical for my agency, and that's where I really learned automotive. Now, of course, This was 1998. So nothing is
A little
the same
different than
now,
today.
right? I mean, you bought a newspaper ad and some radio and some TV and you were done. And
Right.
so it's literally the antithesis of that. It's so different and it's changed so much. And you have to, be able to be nimble and see kind of, what's ahead and what's happening. Because a lot of people can get stuck in the same thing. You see it all the time. Just kind of doing the same traditional thing that they've always done. And so I think that's one of the things that makes us stand out is that we're always looking at whatever the next big thing is. And trying to, when digital was kind of just getting to be a thing, I was one of the only advertising agencies that understood digital. Most of the agencies were doing just TV and radio and those are all fantastic mediums, but you have to be able to learn, and obviously you have an early adopter of that, podcasting and things of that nature. Haven't been around that long. So you had to really,
You didn't know what you were doing.
yeah.
And
Well,
you had to know where to find out.
You figured it out, right?
Imagine taxiing on a plane looking toward the end of the runway. It seems so far away, it's even hard to see it. And that's what the concept of retirement probably felt like when you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, way far in the distance, not visible or even a concern. But as you turn 50, something happens. Retirement suddenly seems like something real, something not too far away. In your 50s, you are rolling down the runway. Retirement is getting closer and closer, faster and faster, weeks and months zipping by. But are you even ready for a successful takeoff to retirement? Fear not, there's still runway left. But the time is now. Time to make progress and time to get a plan. The Runway Decade will help you get organized, get energized, and give you the direction you need to take off to your desired retirement. The Runway Decade, building a pre-retirement flight plan in your 50s.
So you were in fashion merchandising.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I love fashion. So why? So I did acting and modeling. And so I got to try on amazing clothes and wear some amazing designers. And I did some fashion shows and did some, photo shoots. And I fell in love with fashion probably then. I always really liked it. And so it was just something, honestly, I hate math and I love fashion and I'm going through like the syllabuses and trying to figure out what required the least amount of math.
You probably fashion designing
fashion
was,
merchandising was low. And so I loved it, but there was really no jobs out there, especially if you're staying in Louisiana. So different now, obviously, with the internet and the way that people find products and services, but like my opportunity was to work at the Limited or something like that, which, right. I wanted more for myself. So, I think that was a complete blessing. I really do. I say that everything in my life I feel like has been a blessing because I've had so many God moments, I think, but that one situation, it's not just like right place, right time. I feel like, there's some things that you're destined to fall into. And I still am so many wonderful relationships with those people. And, I really, a lot of people are like, oh my God, you really love what you do that much? And I'm like, I really do. I mean, I'm a people person. So,
right.
But I'm also very analytic and results driven. And, so there's a lot of people that don't like to people. I'm like, give me the phone, let me talk because I enjoy that, Well, and solving problems too.
And marketing definitely has problems to be solved. If you're looking at it starting in the 90s, the late 90s, early 2000s, it was, let's just throw some money on different campaigns and make sure to train our staff to ask where they heard about us.
Yeah.
And if they don't ask the question, well, whatever, we see that we spend, 3% is the number we're given to spend on advertising.
Yeah.
That's our number. That's our metric.
Yeah.
And let's just spend 3%, regardless of how we see our sales do. It was not so much data driven. It was, well, they tell us it reaches so many people. Like the TV tells us how many people are tuning in. The radio
Right.
tells us where their listening audience is. The magazines, the print, they tell us
Our
how many people
circulation, yeah.
they anticipate are going to turn to page 45 and read the lower left quarter of the page. So, I mean, it's got to be real, right?
Right.
But then you have this shift, and it's like, wait, you mean you can actually tell me where somebody found my website from and track it
crazy.
back to the URL?
I know it's nuts. So, I remember in the early days in automotive, they would say, well, we know the newspaper works because they walk in with it, and so that was that.
Okay, that's
yeah.
tangible.
Yeah, so that was tangible. But, other mediums, I worked in television, and I knew television worked because I was selling ER and Friends, and that was must-see TV. That was a dream, by the way.
Wait, hang on, back up. You were selling TV slots for Friends and ER?
Yeah.
How did you get that gig?
Oh my gosh. So again, so I started at Media Direct and had some opportunities to be in sales because I was in media. So I was more analyzing the whole strategy for the business owner or company, which usually were multi-million-dollar companies, by the way.
Yeah.
And so what I realized, well, first of all, at the time, you didn't make a ton of money in that, buying role, but a lot of the managers and I would build relationships and they would say, you're kind of funny or whatever, like you might be good at sales. And I was like, okay. And I was 24, like what did I have to lose, right? And so I remember my first year in radio sales, I made $70,000 and I thought I was the stuff. But I loved it, and I loved music and whatever. And so I had another manager approach me and, asked if I wanted to work at WDSU, which was the NBC affiliate in New Orleans, which when I was working at Media Direct and when I was working in media, that was the station everybody thought was like,
that's like the peak, the pinnacle.
One
of
the
your career.
best, yes. And I thought their people were the smartest. They also were attractive, like they just had like a little bit of a vibe about them. And I was like, I hope I get this job so desperately. And so I was making, good money. And I remember them saying, well, you get a list in advertising. I don't know if you recall that. I don't know if you've been in that world, but you get a list and it's a book of business. And so I think I was making like $70,000 or something. And they're like, well, this list is only billing $35,000. And I was like, okay, I'll take it.
So you took a half pay cut?
Yeah, I wanted to work there so bad because it was like the most amazing place and it had such a great reputation. I'm like, I did this in 6 months at 24 years old. I'm pretty sure, with the product that we had, I knew I could. And so I did. And it was really an amazing experience. And I talked about my media buying days, but that and then my television experience, I think were the two of the most, important jobs I had because they allowed me to see the kind of business owner and manager I wanted to be. Have you ever worked for like a really great manager, really great company, and then you work for someone else and you're like, goodness Lord, and so, Media Direct was like that. It was very much a family atmosphere. And then WDSU was owned by Hearst Argyle, huge media company, but it felt like a family. And so even back in the 90s, they would let us, I didn't have children, but they would let us go and parents go pick their kids up at 3:00 and, come back to the office and gave flexibility like that. And so I think it's more prevalent today. We are doing so much more with remote work and whatever, but they were doing some things back then that were like pretty, back in the 90s, you didn't do that.
Yeah, that's not a common practice. That's like an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to selling TV and now you're a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
At what point are you looking at like, I think I could do this myself,
So it's funny. So you ask great questions, by the way. When you're working in the advertising agency side, you're very like analytic and you're looking at the big picture. And in TV or in radio, you're just one, piece in the cog, right? And so what I would try and do is take that multi-million-dollar, experience that I had, planning all of these budgets, and I would ask the business owner or whatever that I was working with to Just give me an idea of what you're doing and I will help you to optimize it the most I can. Of course, I'd like for you to use me too, but I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to help you to be strategic, because that's where, my experience is. My experience isn't in sales. It's in coming together with a plan. And so people, I found, really did appreciate that. And I made people a lot of money, but we were just, a small part of that a lot of times. And so, I handled some local business, but I also handled big dealer groups, Super Chevy dealers or Nissan. And so you're, obviously, a small piece of that, but I knew how to negotiate because I was on the buying side. And so that really, I think, was, behooved me in my world in television. But then I got to a place where, TV was the thing, but they asked us to start selling internet, and the internet really wasn't of value at that time. And so I'm kind of person that if I don't believe in it, I don't want to recommend it.
So what do you mean selling internet?
Like, the TV station websites. I mean, that is really what we had back then. And it wasn't, now, of course, all of the station websites have a ton of value. But back then, we were just kind of getting into the whole, World Wide Web internet thing. And so I kind of just saw the writing on the wall that things were going to change. And I thought, I don't want to recommend things that I don't believe in. And so because I'd already done the agency thing, I was like, I know I can do this, which, you have no idea, as you well know, what you're getting into when you're about to, embark on becoming a business owner. But yeah, my early 30s, I'm like, yeah.
So early 30s, you're like, let's just start all over. Mm-hmm. No book of business, no place of business. Oh. Did you have connections that you were were you giving them hints hey, I'm about to be leaving? Or were you just blindly saying, hey, here are my 2 weeks, I'm out, peace, www.gobizsolutions.go.
Right, exactly.
And just creating your company from there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Obviously, I was smart and, saved some money. So, I was planning.
I hope you had a little bit of a cushion.
Nest egg. But yeah, I had such great relationships from being in television. So I knew that I would still be buying the same things that they were buying, but I was just going to help them to make smarter decisions, And so it wasn't hard to, to retain clients at all. But yeah, it's, it's kind of you're just kind of stepping out on the ledge and you're like, okay, I'm not dipping my toe in, I'm jumping.
Yeah, there's no stepping on the ledge. You've jumped off the ledge and you're free falling with no safety net.
Correct.
This episode is proudly presented by Gage. Gage is a local company here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. For over 40 years, Gage has provided businesses with the very best telecommunications, IT, and standby power services available. Gage has a variety of services, including Gage Cloud Voice. It is the last phone system your business will ever need. You need to give your business the ability to be accessible anytime, anywhere, and with Gage's cloud-based phone system, you'll be able to accomplish just that. Not only do they have Gage Cloud Voice, they have fully managed IT services that are proactive network monitoring, 24/7, 365, help desk, business continuity. They are there for you. What you're also going to need is some cybersecurity. Gage is there to safeguard your business from potential cyber threats, even when you aren't aware they exist. Gage also is power and leaders in standby generators. They are the #1 Cummins dealer on the Gulf Coast and provide generators to homes and businesses of any size so you can keep life going. Gage, better connected, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show. So what were those first days like? Because the first day that you make the decision, I'm assuming you put in your 2 weeks.
Correct. Yeah.
And once those 2 weeks, what were you already planning in those 2 weeks, reaching out to people? What was?
No, I wouldn't.
What was that time?
I would not do
leading
that.
up to
No. I continued.
And also, was there an NDA that you had to sign, or a non-compete clause? No non-compete.
No, not. You could do non-competes for maybe other television stations or things of that nature, but they can't, they can't prevent you from doing business, right?
Right.
And so it's very different, I think, in television. But if I, now, I would have a employee sign an NDA saying that they, couldn't go after, the businesses that they directly work on, for an X number of time. But for television sales and radio sales, it wasn't really like that. But, as a salesperson, so I'm kind of, I'm methodical, and I had a plan, and I knew kind of some of the businesses that I wanted to go after based on my relationships, and based on people that I thought I could help. And so it was, kind of a blend of the media direct, knowledge and experience that I received, and then, my work in TV, and bringing that all together. Because remember, I said, that was multi-million-dollar brands, right? And so what I was hoping to do was create a niche that you don't have to have tens of millions of dollars to work with an agency. But that was kind of, oh, well, we can't afford an agency. I'm like, no, well, you actually can, And so we didn't, have a ton of overhead. We had an office, but it wasn't, so we didn't have to charge exorbitant, prices. We were fair with people. We obviously were profitable, but we were fair. And I think people appreciated that. I never wanted to be the Walmart of advertising or the Walmart of media buying, but I did see, in my years in the business that there was a ton of markup on certain things. And so, that's kind of how we started. But yeah, I didn't really worry about it, because I know that there's a market out there, because I've worked for all of these customers who were just like, yeah, I'll try TV, so they didn't really have a plan anyway. So I knew, I'd reach out to some of these people, and they would be like, absolutely, because I've been working with them for so long.
Yeah. So what was your pitch to them?
Just exactly what I said is just, kind of taking my experience from, many, many years, and understanding of, the media markets, understanding of the stations, understanding how to negotiate. And, right now you're buying X, Y, and Z, but I can get you X, Y, and Z. And I can get more for you. I can get it cheaper for you. I know the inventory. I know, you're buying 30-second units right now for television. There's a natural 10 that leads into every Saints game. Why don't we purchase that? We can buy something that's more affordable and effective for you, but still providing you with the reach without you having to spend $10,000 for a 30-second unit. And so it was about just helping them. This is the money you have to spend. Here's how we're going to be the most strategic with it. And that's kind of still the philosophy now. It's like, okay, if somebody wants to come and work with us and they've worked for someone else or worked with another agency, I'm like, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just trying to help you to really invest the dollars like they were mine. I'm not, some agencies sell products. They're an SEO agency or an SEM agency, or they're a web design company, and that's all great. But sometimes clients are like, well, why did you buy SEO? Well, that's because that's what they sell. I'm like, okay, well, what we do is different. So we customize every single strategy, not based on what we sell, because we don't sell products. We just literally look at the client and say, okay, here's what you are, here's who you are, here's what you have. A lot of times they'll come in, they don't have a working logo, brand story's not there. We really can start from the very beginning, but then also put something together that really we feel like fits their needs, but then continue to measure it and track it and monetize it, so we know whether it worked or it didn't.
Right. And I think that's a very challenging part for business owners, is to know if you see an ad on TV or something, or you hear an ad on the radio, it's all fine and dandy, but it also is that the best placement for what I've got? Is that the best placement for my message?
Correct.
Am I reaching an audience that's at the end of the day gonna stroke a check from their own checkbook to pay me for whatever service or product that I'm trying to deliver? And if you have the know-withal of where their message is being delivered, who's listening to them, or who's witnessing and who's receiving their message, it's a whole lot easier to say, look, people turn the game on and are getting ready and really anticipating pregame. They're putting people make commercials about it, putting their chips in their bowls down and sitting before the game starts.
Correct.
Why don't we get them right when that game starts, when they're the most attentive, they're the soberest,
right?
And they're really listening for what's going to come on. And why, for what I love is, why don't we start making these Super Bowl quality commercials year round. When you look at football, when you look at the lens of football, why are we just waiting for Super Bowl? I understand that the amount of eyeballs that are on there are just astronomical, but there's a lot of other places that have a significant number of eyeballs outside of TV.
Mm-hmm.
And so that shift is like, where are we spending our dollars? Do I want to spend X to get one TV ad at one time slot on one day of the week? Or do I spend Y, which is half of X, and get visibility for the whole month?
So again, you ask great questions, and if you would like a job, I am hiring. No, but it's literally about that. It's like, okay, so if you have $100,000 budget, we can do all the things. But when I talk about doing all the things, so when it's a television campaign, we are going to look at qualitative data and quantitative data to find out who's watching the programming. So we know if you're trying to reach a male, 35 to 54, what are they watching, and live television really right now is where it's at. Like, you want live TV. So, I mean, I'm big into sports and specials for our clients, obviously, if that's the demographic, but you don't place a TV buy just on gut instinct, and you don't buy, 6 a.m. to midnight. Sometimes you do for, a little bit of frequency, but, so that's the thing. So it's to be really analytic about, okay, who's your audience? Okay, well then let's talk about the best places to find them. Where are they living online? And so digital has just ended up being such a gift because it's so, you can monetize it. Whether it worked or it did not. And there's so much technology that we can do, and putting pixels on the website and, things of that nature. We know that this ad sold you a vehicle, or we know that this, so it's crazy. Because again, we used to guess, oh, well, they walked in with the newspaper, so it must have worked. Yeah.
I mean, I can pull up my phone and I can go and look at our demographic and our stats and, communicate to the folks that partner with our show exactly who we're reaching.
Correct.
Where they live and what they're consuming, what posts they're consuming, what they're seeing. And it's like, it's no more a guessing game. If we've worked with some brands that are like, we want to know everything from every platform you're on to what that reach was per post, and then break it down. They want to break it down for what is the cost per impression.
Correct.
And with digital and with social media, more importantly, you can do that. You can break it down to get a cost per impression. And then I'm paying a tenth of a penny for an impression, or I'm paying 100th of a penny for an impression.
Correct.
And that brings me to, okay, what is now from an advertisee standpoint, what am I selling my slots for? Well, I'm charging you per impression this rate.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that up to market? Whereas beforehand it was, we think the impression's this.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, we know the impressions this. We have statistics and supporting evidence that can support what the actual rate is that you're getting, and it's no longer a guessing game, Okay, you want to hit males that are interested in business from the ages of 25 to 50?
Yeah.
Come sit down with me.
Correct.
It's like, what is that target audience? You want to hit females? Okay, let's push you more on this platform.
Correct. Yeah, it's so true. And that's the thing it's a beautiful thing because we know, there's data out there that tells you demographic, geographic, qualitative, household income, where they live, what their buying habits are. Obviously, you're out, you're shopping online and you're looking up golf clubs, and for the next 3 days, golf clubs are following you around. You may talk about golf clubs in the car and you get an ad for golf clubs at night and you're like, what? Not a coincidence, So that's the thing that I love about working in, 2023 versus 1998 is I can literally tell a client, and there's so many, I find gross misuses of advertising funds just because, again, sometimes people just want to sell what they want to sell and not necessarily, and so I'm a nerd because I come from the media buying side, so everything's analytic. And so I really want to say, okay, look, this is how many cars you sold, and this was your cost per thousand, and this is how many, and we can do that now. So there's tools out there that really are able to show us, this is what worked, and, maybe this worked the most, and this is what, and so we hedge our bets. I like to say, we do the things that suck the least. I mean, it's like whatever sucks, let's get rid of it and let's focus on the stuff that's great. It's not that difficult. You don't have to be in 17 different places. You need to be in 4 or 5 really good places. So
yeah. Thank you so very much to Building 5 for becoming the latest sponsor of the Patty G Show. We are going to be filming once a month at Building 5. We're going to post about it on our social so you can come and visit with us. Building 5 is an excellent food establishment if you're into sharing boards and really getting a creative menu. Misty and Brumby have done an excellent job of creating an environment that's warm, welcoming, and inviting for every single occasion. Go on over to Building 5 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and tell them that the Patty G Show sent you. You need to be where your customers are.
Correct.
And that's that was one thing somebody asked me, well, where's your show posted? Where's everything going from what you create? And I said, everywhere. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to miss somebody's eyeball or somebody that wants to consume the content that we create.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss them because I'm not where they're at. I'm not in the business of trying to make them come to my website, to my platform. I'm going to meet them where they're at and have it an organic consumption. That's my mindset. That's my motto. Is like wherever they are, let's go there.
Yeah.
So if we have to now figure out what Threads is, we figure out what Threads is.
Right.
And I've got my producer Dylan posted on Threads.
Okay,
because
Dylan.
That's where eyeballs are. Maybe not all of them, but some are there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if we can pick up some, great. Let's get them because somebody's going there for a reason. And so if we can be a source of content that they want to consume on that platform for the reason they're wanting to go there, great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of our demographics are crib to casket. So the way that you reach a 22-year-old is different than the way you reach a 45-year-old. And
100%.
so we have to develop content and messaging if that is their demographic. I mean, I think we did Yik Yak for one of the restaurants that was on LSU's campus. And I'm like, what is Yik Yak? But I mean, you have these people that, you employ that it's their jobs to know kind of what the latest and greatest things are. And people will ask me and I'm like, well, that's not really my jam. I have people that do that. I mean, obviously no, but, when trends occur, my digital team's like, okay, these are the new things that we need to be on the lookout for. We're not, behind the curve. We're ahead of the curve.
Yik Yak was a fun time. I was at LSU when Yik Yak was a thing, and it was it was a blast from the past to just open your phone. I think there was like the iPhone 4 at the time or the 5 at the time, whatever it was, and we would sit there and people would be sending out Yik Yaks in class, and so we're all sitting there reading and laughing because they're making comments about the professors or the subject matter in class, and you get live up to date. It's almost like a chat board. It's an anonymous chat board if you're on it when people are posting.
Correct.
And it was that app, that concept was pretty incredible. But as a marketing agency, you can't just sit there and tell them where to buy space. You're going to have to help them formulate a creative. So how do y'all work through that process?
So I like to say we do everything soup to nuts. So everything from creative, content writing, website design, logo design. We typically start with understanding the brand. So, who are you? What, why does that matter? What's your vision, mission, values? What does that look like? And then that helps us develop a brand voice. Sometimes we come to people and they just have a logo. They don't, they have website content that was copied from another website that the designer just, threw up there that's not even relative to them. And so they don't really have vision, mission, values, tagline, brand statement. Their logo was something that they put together in, PowerPoint 20 years ago. And so that's kind of how we start. And then depending on who the audience is, that's how we develop the content. So, if it's an older demographic and, maybe, female, we'll look at the demo and we'll look at kind of where they are and how they're, consuming media, and we'll determine kind of what the strategy is based on that. And then we'll just determine the creative based on that. And so it might be a 30-second TV commercial. It might be a radio spot. It may be a TikTok. It may be, Instagram Reels. It may be in feed, and so that's kind of the fun thing now is like just developing content that is, out of the box, and, it's cool, and it's got trending sounds, and I'm learning all of these things about, digital from my digital team's a little bit, hipper than I am. But yeah, it's cool to see this content, and then just to see too how it reaches people and how excited people get about it. And that to me is so fun. So content creation, again, it's custom, it's custom to whoever that client is, but that's kind of the head scratcher for a lot of people. They're like, okay, I know where I want to get, but I don't know the content to get me there, Right. And so it's definitely okay, well, this is what I think you need to do. And they're like, well, TikToks, I'm trying to reach a 45-year-old woman. I'm like, that's where they are. I mean, I know you may not think that.
You're under the mom category of TikTok for the 45 and up. They want to see the relatable, dealing with your 12, 15,
right?
16-year-old kids. Here's what I'm going through. Here's what I'm dealing with. They want to be able to see that content, relate to it, and be like, wait, I need that beach bag. I need that product that this person is using, which brings us down the avenue of influencer versus self-created content. And how are y'all dealing with that? Just bloodbath, really. I mean, it's what it really is. It's just open season, everything but nothing's in season, and like nobody really knows what they're doing. What are y'all seeing from an agency side of created, self-promoted versus influencer drafted content?
Good question. We've done a little bit of both. We did a lot of influencer work, I would say a handful of years ago. I think it obviously depends on the client and the goals, etc. We love handcrafted content. We're doing a lot in the way of user-generated content too, just, letting our customers know to tag us and share us and whatever. I mean, it's a great question. And again, I think it really just depends on, who the client is and what their budget is and what they have to spend. I mean, with NIL and with all of these things, if you can get a great, influencer and somebody that can represent your brand and you have the money to do that, it's about how you develop the strategy. So one of our clients recently signed an NIL deal, and it's so exciting because you can really come up with a custom strategy on what's the best way to use this person. We've got a handful of opportunities for them. We want to do some in person, we want to do some Instagram, we want to do some TV commercials, etc. But that's when you get to be really creative and you have to decide, do we want to do something that's a little bit more traditional, or do we want to do, something that's a little, non-traditional? And I think it depends on too, for this particular client, we're looking to, promote electric, and that's a younger demo. And so it's okay, let's think about how we can be creative on that. But content's a whole thing now. And again, good question, because, some of the influencer stuff is incredible. It just depends too on the product.
Yeah, because you can't. What I've been seeing is influencers, they get sponsors, and then they end up sitting there trying to create content that's organic to their feed, but they end up sitting there with said product or something, and then they're just talking, and then it's you've got this product within the screen, and they're just sitting there, and it almost starts to feel unorganic. It starts to feel like it's not a natural fit for them. And then I swear at some point in time, it feels like they're looking into a teleprompter or something, trying to get cues or something to deliver the message they're after. But it's when you see that, it feels so much like an ad. It feels so much like a piece of content as a consumer of social you don't want to see. We have, as a society, gotten to this point where when we see something that looks like an ad, it smells like an ad, it is an ad, we're swiping. So it's how do you, as an agency and as a brand, figure out creative content that not only gets them to turn into consumers, but initially just gets them to finish the 30-second video?
Well, and that's a challenge. Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, creative is, because we're flooded with so many messages, TV, billboards, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, you have to find that thing. You know how you are at night. And then what's going to make me stop, And so it's a great question because that's the thing. It's like, okay, we'll get together and have a brainstorming session on, what that thing looks like. And I have a great team of people. I'm the more analytic person. I'm creative. I know what I like to see, but I rely on them a lot for the ideas. And then I outsource some of that too. I have some really creative people that I've worked with over the years that I love that are here or in New Orleans that, if I have something that is a little bit bigger, then I'll lean on them. So many freaking creative people in this town and in New Orleans. Like it's a blessing because we really do have a lot of really smart creatives in this town. But yeah, I mean, that's the challenge because anybody can put together, a Facebook ad or,
Patty G Show is proudly brought to you by Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelry. Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelry is a local business right here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They create handcrafted jewelry for everyday use, that special occasion, whatever it may be. Gentlemen, they've got amazing jewelry both for male and female. Everyone is their audience. After years of experimenting with everything from ceramic jewelry, glass beads, and enamel, they've settled in on the ancient art of lost wax casting. Is their main form of creating their work. They cast everything in bronze, sterling silver, and 14 karat gold. Every step of the way is done here right in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Proud sponsors of the Patty G Show. Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelers. Get out there and tell them that Patty G sent you, and they're going to take great care of you on your next order. Right, and then you look at your traditional media, your traditional creatives, and it's... All right, what do you have upcoming this week? I deal a lot in the restaurant space. And so it's like, okay, you've got specials coming up. All right, you've got some trivia, okay, and you've got this new dish you're trying to promote. All right. Well, let's just make some graphics and we'll put it on your story and we'll call it a day.
Right?
And it's like, you're not... if you're
how about
if
doing a
somebody's
Facebook Live when happy hours in full swing, or
if somebody is trying to get you to push a still image that's got so much text on there, you might want to consider whether or not you want this to be a long-term relationship.
Correct.
Because people, fault of our own, not fault of our own, we're getting away from trying to read so much text. We want to be told what's going to happen. We want to hear. We want to be engaging. We recently did for Cinco. We did a promotion with Ozzy and with Jim Alice. We did a tequila tasting.
I remember that. Yeah, it was great.
And we were all like, "This is fun."
Right?
We got to showcase. We weren't selling anything. Yeah. But we were sitting there educating people.
Well, how can you not have fun with them too? So there's that.
This is true.
Yeah.
Those guys are phenomenal.
What? Yeah.
But it was like and 10 bottles of tequila.
Right? Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt, but it's like this is something that can be interactive, that you can draw back on and recreate content and repurpose it for whatever you want to do. It's not just saying, come have Cinco with us. It's that brand awareness.
Some people are missing the boat so much, friend. I agree. Yeah. And I'm like, what you can do with a still image, you can do 20 times better with a video. Yeah. And so it's all about sticky content. And there's a place, again, we do still images, we do carousels. Of course.
There's a place for it.
Absolutely.
But if your post, like every post is a still image, is a graphic that's created with a lot of text, and that's every single post, you're losing attention to a degree. But if you get on there, you could even read the same exact copy that's on the still image in a story or a quick live, and it will perform, and you'll see returns so much better.
Exponentially, yeah.
Just because people are engaging with that. Right. Stories are huge. Yeah. I watch how people consume content first.
Yeah, same.
And I'm like, let me see what people are doing. How are they? What does a person look like? Like if I'm in an airport or if I'm somewhere, I'll sit there and like glance at other people's phones, and if they pull up, like, who is this psycho? They pull up Instagram, and the first thing I see is they start tapping. If I see them reach and tap at the top of the screen, I'm like, they're doing stories. Like, okay, got it. And if I just look around the room and I see a bunch of people that are just tapping the top of their phone after they're opening up Instagram, they're opening up Facebook, then I'm like, all right, everybody's consuming stories. And then further, all right, once they finish the stories, do they close the app, or then do they go start swiping? And then most people will start swiping.
Yep.
And then they'll consume until it says all caught up.
Correct.
Now, some platforms have done away with all caught up because
Correct.
they don't want to tell you you're
Right.
done.
They're like, wait,
they want
I've
you to
seen this
keep
3
going.
times.
They want you to keep
Yes.
going.
Yes.
You know, TikTok is known for that. They're never going to tell you you've caught up because they're like, no, we have millions and millions and millions of videos. We're going to keep showing you. And then you're going to find yourself 4 hours later when you're got to get up in an hour and you're like, I haven't slept all night. I've been here on this app. They draw you in by that. So it's how do people consume and where are they consuming?
So I'm laughing at you stalking people on their phones like a psychopath.
I'm not stalking them. Okay, I'm not like a psychopath. I'm not sitting there saying, "Who you texting?" You know, like what do you got going on there?
Right.
I'm analyzing. Okay, I mean, are they clicking on the
100.
Instagram icon? And you know the icon when it opens the
100.
app. It's you know, it's. I'm not sitting there like, what are you googling? You know, I'm not doing that.
Okay, creeper. So no, 100%. So you are absolutely right. And we probably a couple of years ago were doing more feed, and now it's all about stories and reels. Not to say that we're not doing in feed still.
Right.
There's still a place for it, but and I was going to ask you what you do because I mean, you and I are different demographics. How old are you?
Yeah.
We're not
No,
saying.
we don't want to get into that.
Okay, wow. So I do stories and reels first. And then when I've exhausted that, then I go into feed, you know? And so I think that's 100%. And so when we were talking about, you know, client content, it's like, okay, we can still do some stuff in feed, but it's about quality, not quantity. And so people are like, well, we post 7 days a week. And I'm like, well, how's that working for you?
Yeah, what are you posting 7 days a week?
I scroll through and I'm like, not one like, not one like, not one like, zero engagement, zero engagement, zero engagement. What's the purpose? Like, just to put something up every day, you know? So let's make sure that that's what's exciting. When you've got, you know, you're looking at the analytics before and then you see, you know, what really good content will do and you get excited for them, you know? And it's a matter though of being able to translate that into sales. And so that's, you know, the ultimate goal, obviously. But, you know, making sure that you have a call to action and that, you know, if it's automotive, we want to link them to an SRP or a VDP, which are where, you know, you would learn about the vehicle or where the vehicle actually is. Because to me, it's about, that's what's quantifiable. You know, we got them to the page. What we do when, you know, what they do when they get there is up to them, but we have to get them there. And we have to get the right people to the right place. And so the content obviously is used for that.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. How they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible.
I was telling a friend today, it's like you have these two types of business owners. You have, and with social media, or marketing directors, whoever's handling the media, you have these one category of people that are just shouting at you. And they're like, we've got this offer, we've got this offer, we've got this offer. And then you've got the other category that's just pushing out, you know, TikToks and whatever. And the honest to God truth is it's got to be a blend of both. So this guy that's yelling at everybody, you know, I clicked on the link and it gave me an offer for $99, you know, startup fee, whatever. And the guy sent me a text message and it was another offer rather than just picking up the phone and calling and saying, hey, why are you interested in us? Like, let me learn a little bit more about you so I can figure out how to sell to you. But they just can, you know, that strategy is just.
It's a shout versus listen.
And then these people, all they want to do is listen. They're not selling. There's no sales funnel, you know? And so it's like, we got to get, you know, to that, you know, kind of perfect medium. And a lot of business owners don't know that, you know?
Yeah. You know, you can sit there and listening by all means is very important.
Yeah.
You know, we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them accordingly. But at some point you got to use that one mouth.
Right.
And you got to say, great, here's the ask.
Right.
Here's what I need from you.
Yeah.
Here is what I would like to get you to do for my business, on behalf of my business, whatever it may be. You can't just sit there and say, great, okay, yeah, sure. Tell me more.
Right.
What else do you need? Okay,
Right.
great. I love it. I've got everything that you need. I've got it written down here. Excellent. Bye.
Right.
It's like, no.
No,
Like, can you solve something for me? Can you
Right.
provide a product that's going to make my life better? Like,
Solve a
what is
problem.
it?
Yes.
What is it?
Yeah.
What can you do for me as a consumer that's going to help me in one way or another? That's what I need to know.
Because if you can't do that, I'm moving on.
Right. And more importantly, what I love seeing is the long tail conversion rates, where you have somebody that sees you in like a January, February, and then you get the notification, all right, now they're following, all right, now they're liking, and you're like, okay, they're engaged. It's like, all right, do we sell to them hard, or we just let them be a slow burn? And then it's like, over time, you see this person get more and more involved, and then you see, oh, wait, we had a direction. All right, they came from Instagram to our website. Okay. Oh, they went 5 pages deep. Okay. Then it's like 6 months in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, boom. They clicked order. Yes. So it's like, all right, 6 months. This is great. For some people, that's a terrible life cycle. But for me, I'm like, I love seeing that long tail conversion rate. That's what I love. I don't love, somebody comes in, all right, follow, done, boom, bam. It's like, great. This person, they built a relationship with us in their own head.
Well, yeah.
They know who we are.
Well, it
they
depends on
know
the
our
life cycle
company.
of the client too.
Right.
Like if it's an automotive dealership, then it's going to take some time probably. But yeah, I love that too. So, I'll follow, I'll look at our analytics and I'll see, these people following our social, I'll see them following our Facebook, I'll see them following our Instagram, and then we'll have an email campaign and you'll see that they clicked on the email campaign and they went this deep, and then you see them on the website and you're like, it's doing what it's supposed to do. And then obviously we have to, pull them in, but to see them engaging is like, okay, all right, well now they're, so you're seeing them kind of move through the sales funnel, which is what you want them to do, but that's fun.
Yeah.
When you're targeting a certain demographic and you're like, ooh, I remember a specific client and we had, I knew kind of people's names and titles. And I was like, oh, such and such read the email. They read it for 10 minutes, and that's exciting too when you're, targeting specific groups of people or specific people, because sometimes we are. It's crazy how granular some of these campaigns can get. We're doing a geofencing campaign for the Capitol, and we just want to geofence every single person in that building. And that's, and so that's super, 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 super small, and then there's other people that, that were, 3 markets deep or 5 markets deep. And so, we'll put together, okay, I'll only want people in this particular zip code or this street. You can do that now. It's like crazy, Okay, I don't want anybody on any other street but this one.
Well, yeah. Well, it's, if you're looking at if somebody's looking at a new home service, or they're selling like pest control, for example, we'll run with that. And you should have somebody on your team that's looking at building permits pulled, that's looking at new site development permits, new construction permits, water permits, and everything that's being pulled from a public record. You have to be looking at that. And then if somebody starts filing for HOA dues and they start filing to get an HOA board, and then they start creating all these things, you have to look at it from a geographical standpoint. Where is that happening? Okay, it's in this area. All right, so they're building, and you got to set a tickler, and it's like in 6 to 8 months, check back in and either send somebody to do a drive-by, see if they developed, are people living there? Because as soon as they start actually selling those homes or selling those apartment homes or whatever it may be that they're building, all right, we're going to put a geofence on there and we're going to start selling our pest services.
Correct.
And we're going to have a sign out front. We're going to have people, when they move in, they're going to get a mailer. They're going to get a Instagram ad for, whoever, we take care of your pest LLC, whatever it may be. It's like that. You can get so granular now. Instead of saying, well, everybody's got a home, we're going to appeal to every single person.
Well,
it's
right.
like, well,
But
they may
also,
be having contracts.
Correct.
And if for someone's going to switch from a contract, they're going to switch for either quality or price, but most of the time in this day and age, price.
Correct.
So why don't we get somebody that doesn't have a contract? It's got a new home, and let's get them.
Yep.
And you have to think on that level as a business owner or a marketer. You have to get to that level. Where are the clients? Where are the customers? And let's appeal to them.
Yeah.
You know, let's run an ad for a bar in Tigerland to like right at halftime. Let's start running it at people in Tiger Stadium at halftime. Let's start running it on their socials. Let's start sending whatever we can at halftime. Yeah. If it's a really bad game, first quarter.
Right. Let's be ready. Let's be ready, guys.
Set the timer.
Right. I love it. No, it's so true. You know, a client and I were talking today about kind of that exact thing. And he's like, I'm looking for property managers. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. And I'm like, well, we know where we can find them. You know, he's like, you can find, and I was like, yeah, we know who people are online. You know their job titles, their habits online, you know what an intender is for whatever it is. If it's pest control because of their, I told you golf clubs earlier, golf intenders based on what they're doing online. And there's first party and third party data that tells us who those people are. But yeah, also too, if you're trying to sell some expensive service, you're not just going to sell that anywhere. You want to look at the areas of affluency in this community, and then you want to serve those ads to those people. And it doesn't need to be, and that would be a thing where I would say, okay, well, you use digital for that, maybe not a broadcast TV, because obviously with broadcast, you're going to reach everybody. So this is how you want to kind of put together a niche market. And so again, that's the thing that's so cool. And we could do that back in the day when in the 90s and early 2000s when I was in TV, there was really good qualitative data there, but it's just gotten so much better now that, we can really, if you told me a person I want to reach Melissa Campbell, I could find her, so that's cool. We have the ability to do a lot more than we could, before, and make people successful because of it. But you have to have willing participants. Yeah. There's a lot of times people think that they're like, oh, well, we've just done this the same way. And I'm like, well, why don't you try a different way? We've done TV or we've done this and it's worked for us. We're going to stick with that. I'm like, let's try for 3 months. Just see. I 100% can tell you, with a great level of assurance, we can do better than that. But sometimes people get a little stuck.
Welcome to the brand new Falaya mobile app. We took all the same tech that's helped hundreds of people sell their homes themselves and packed it into an easy-to-use app for your phone. When you download the Falaya mobile app on either the Apple or Android App Store, you'll immediately be able to see the power of this game-changing tool. From the seller's dashboard, you can navigate to all the information that you need. We intentionally separated everything into key groups, such as tasks to be completed, buyer leads for your listing, and contact information for everyone involved through closing. When you get an offer on your property, you can simply review and respond all within the app. No matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to monitor everything that's going on with your property from listed to sold. It's truly the power of Falaya in the palm of your hand. Download the app and see for yourself. Falaya, it's real estate reimagined.
Well, they get stuck and they get focused on their consumption patterns. And if they only see their consumption patterns, then they're never going to get those potential customers outside of whom they are. And if you're selling a product and you are your ideal customer, then by all means go by your consumption patterns.
Correct.
But generally, you can appeal to maybe one or two other people that are not exactly minded like yourself. If somebody is trying to sell to a younger demographic for folks under 40, folks under 30, and they're saying it's all going to be through cable television, you're going to miss a large chunk of the population because they're just not getting cable television. They're getting subscriptions, they're getting YouTube TV, Hulu, Netflix, whatever it may be. They're paying for the specific services that they want. They're not calling up your general TV cable provider and saying, yeah, give me 150 channels. It's not happening. Now, their parents are.
Right.
But if you're trying to appeal to that generation, they're not going to be watching TV there.
Right.
And I would much rather run an ad on Hulu that I know I've got a demographic that's targeted to what I'm after. Yeah. And more importantly, you know a general population of what people are based on the shows they're consuming. But it's like some of these ads, I swear, I'm like, I'm not they're a potential mark. They missed the mark.
They missed the mark on this
they
one,
totally
right?
missed the mark
I
on
see
this
some, and
ad.
I'm like,
like if they think that I'm the consumer, I'm like, no, this is not happening.
Right?
Why are you advertising horror films when I've never ever indicated on any of my channels that that's what I watch?
true.
But you're gonna push it every single
Right?
commercial break.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm still not gonna watch
Right?
it. More importantly, I'm not gonna watch it for sure.
Right?
Like, all right,
100.
that name of that movie. All right, never watching that.
Right? 100%. No, it's a good point that you bring up too, because I'm a cord stacker, so I have traditional, cable, but then I also have
Cord
Hulu.
stacker? Is that what they call
so
it?
you have cord cutter, which is like they cut the cord. They're just doing, just doing over the top, which is like your Hulus, your YouTubes, your
Okay.
et cetera. And then you have a cord stacker. So because I'm a little older in age, I still like the traditional mediums and I want to get those, but then I also want Apple TV, I want Hulu, I want Netflix, et cetera. But my children don't even know how to watch live TV. They've never watched it. They really prefer YouTube TV or, podcasts or, they're always, scrolling through looking at some show and they'll tell me about these influencers that they used to watch and whatever. That's what they're, I remember this kid when my children were younger and like all he did was unbox things. And I'm like, you literally sat and watched that for hours. And so I'm like, yeah, wow, okay. But yeah, so if you're looking to reach a 12 and 18-year-old, you're not buying linear TV, or broadcast TV. You're not. But if you want to reach someone in my demographic, like, I'm still watching The Bachelor.
You have to have a little bit of it,
Yeah, I watch all the sports things, So I'm doing both. But yeah, I'm still kind of doing the traditional television thing, but I do watch my Netflix, Hulu series, all of that. In fact, my girlfriends and I have a group chat, and we're like, okay, what are y'all on right now, so we can make sure we're not, missing anything
behind the mark.
Good, yeah.
Well, a fascinating element of YouTube are the way that children consume the content there and the type of content they're consuming. Mm-hmm. So much so that kids will watch hours on hours of other kids playing with toys. Now, if we were to take this and dive deeper with it to the point of what parent first decided, let me film my kid playing with a toy and post it on YouTube.
Right.
And those views, any video on YouTube that is focused on 12 and under, their views are just stupid. And it's like,
well,
these
forget
kids
that playing with toys. Watching other kids play video games. I'm like, you're not playing a video game, but you're watching someone else play one.
So then they're going to flip the
that.
argument and say you're not playing football, but you're watching somebody else play football.
That's true, but I can't play football. So
they can't play Madden 95, whatever it may be.
I truly can't play football, and I will say this. So it's funny. So my grandfather was a football coach, a very athletic man, coached collegiate and worked in the pros, and we're a football family. And like, if you can't speak football at my table, you can't talk. And so my son is trying out for the football team. And I told him I'm buying him a coach. I'm getting him a coach that's going to practice with him. And I said, and I'm going to practice alongside of you. And he goes, you've never played football. So I pick up the phone and I call his dad. And I was like, would you please tell your son, like that his mom actually does know something about the sport. I was like, no, I have not played, but and so I learned how to backpedal and I learned how to do a few things. And I was like, actually, I wasn't a great athlete. My grandfather was a great athlete and I was, tall and lanky. So I went to John Curtis, it's a big sports school, and the coaches would always ask me if I would play basketball. I'm like, trust, you do not want me to play on your basketball team. But yeah, so my son was like, okay, Mom, all right, you really do know what you're talking about. But I just thought it was funny because he was like, you can't play sports. You can't play football. You're a girl. And I was like, oh, child.
Watch me run laps around you.
Watch me backpedal better than you. I can run a route better than you. So it was fun. It was fun schooling him. I'm like, you're a wide receiver. What's the function of the wide receiver? And he's like,
Ooh, getting technical.
To receive. And I'm like, sometimes, or block. It's a running play. He's like, he's rolling his eyes at me, but I just have to show him.
Of course, you got to at one point let him know that
school
you know
them.
more. Yeah, of course. So I mean, Melissa, we could talk for hours and hours, but at some point we kind of have to wrap up the show. Right. And as we do, we have a set list of questions we ask every guest.
Yeah.
Very hard hitting questions.
Okay.
I hope you got them beforehand, right?
I did not.
So for the first one, what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Dance. I was a dancer.
You just said you could run a route. How can you not dance?
No, I'm saying I was a dancer. Like I did ballet. I guess I still could. I did ballet and jazz and lyrical, and I loved it. I actually thought I wanted to major in dance for a period of time. I've taken some adult dance classes, but when you have 2 children and a business, you don't have as much free time. But I used to be in dance 4 days a week, and I loved it. How about you?
For me?
Uh-huh.
Oh gosh, I wasn't ready for that.
I know.
Script.
I know.
I truly enjoyed just being able to get on like a BMX bike and jump ramps and just like
so fun.
flying through the air and all that.
Now you're worried about breaking a knee and you've got children to think about.
Or like taking a 4-wheeler and doing the same thing, finding some hills and going riding. I really enjoyed that. And now it's, I went to Sky Zone a couple weeks ago with my kid, and it was like, I think I twisted a shin or something. It's like I got to be very more delicate about what physical activities I'm doing.
I'll watch.
Yeah, like I got to make sure what I'm doing I can land safely. I can, I got to keep the body intact. Otherwise, I can't take care of you.
Correct. Same. I say the same thing to them. I'm like, we're not doing that.
So, what are 3 lessons you've learned along the way?
So, treat people the way that you want to be treated. As far as my business philosophy goes, I told you I've had some really poor managers and I've had some amazing ones. And so I learn from those people. And so I think that's it. Pay people. I have a lot of really talented people that work for me that have been in the business for a very long time. Some people don't, am I boring you?
No,
just kidding.
No.
I'm teasing with you. I would say those are the two majors. I think to me, again, in business, obviously, we're here to make money. But, treating people like human beings. And, we all know each other. We all know each other's families. I let our team work from home 3 days a week, 2 days a week rather. We work in the office 3 days. It's like, people are going to do way more for you if they know, you care.
Right.
So I think that as far as like my business philosophy goes and the way that I treat my people, those are the things, because your people, are your brand. And so I think that's what's really important to me. Obviously, making the money and making our clients successful is important, but you can't do that without people. And
right.
So I feel like that my philosophy as far as the things that I have learned has been, about how you treat people, because I've been doing this for a hot minute and nobody's going to hustle for you if they don't respect you, if they don't care about you, and they don't believe in your vision, and so I think that's probably, 3 of the most important things.
Yeah, they got to be able to be a part of your team and feel like you value them as a team member. Otherwise, they're not going to perform and execute the way you want them to.
But it's just about building relationships anyway, And, I remember one of our employees' moms had cancer. And we were like, okay, this is what you need to do. We were all rallying around her and, she's important. Her mom's important. And, if she doesn't feel confident about where her mom is and we're not supporting her, then she's going to come in and not, be able to do her job. And so it's about that, but also being kind of an, extended member of her group that is like, okay, we've got you, we've got your back. And so I think that's kind of something maybe a little bit different than I do. But again, I learned it from a corporate America. That's how, we were treated in a very corporate world. And I was like, I can duplicate this,
Yeah. Absolutely. So what is something you love about Baton Rouge?
So I told you two of my favorite things. Well, I don't know if I said food earlier. So food and football.
Yeah.
Are two of
Fs.
my favorite things. And so, I mean, there's no shortage of amazing food here. And obviously, football. So I've met a lot of wonderful people in this town. This town is full of great, great people. But yeah, I mean, there's no better food than in this community. And New Orleans, of course, is up there as well. You can't beat the Tigers, baby. So there's that.
Well, and then you combine tailgating with the Tigers, and it's like
and then you're an hour and a half away from the Saints. So
yeah,
there's that. So yeah, I'm like college game day when it comes on is like my utopia. It's my day. And so that happened last week, and I was like, all is right in the world. College game day is on. Of course, there were no games.
Right.
It was awful, but I still got to, get in and watch. So this is kind of my Mardi Gras. This is like, I just love football season. So I'm excited. And I think Tigers are gonna be good this year.
Yeah, they've got a strong chance.
You think?
We'll see how
do you have any?
out.
Do you have any?
No,
we don't go that. We don't go there.
I'll leave all that to my sport folks.
Right?
That's like I can talk about a lot of things, but as far as my opinions on those, we're gonna do great.
Right? Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. That's my philosophy right there. Is go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Yes.
So, Melissa, for the final question,
okay,
what can I do to help you?
Oh wow, I feel like you already have. This has been a great experience. Just getting able to talk and get to know you, and you and I have obviously been connected before. But I think it's about connectivity and like you helping me and me helping you, because I'd love to do the same thing. I really believe in your brand and what you're doing, and I watch you. That's another reason why I was excited. Yeah. So there's that. No, but I mean, I'm in touch with what you're doing. And so, I just love to collaborate with you because I think you're a smart guy. So I think that would be what you could do for me. And I think that you bring a lot to the table. And I think I do too. And
Absolutely.
So there's that. So I think what you could do for me is we could, collaborate on some more things. I think that would be a ton of fun.
Yeah, we could figure some stuff out.
Yeah, I think we probably could.
There's a lot of past and
right?
future collaborations.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my God, it was so fun.
I appreciate
Thank you
your
for
time.
having me.
Absolutely. No, this was a blast.
I know.
And some very, very enjoyable wine that we had.
You were gonna tease.
I was not going to tease anything. We had some very delicious wine. This was fun. I'm glad I got to break out my glasses.
All right, cheers. What did I teach you earlier?
So cheers. A drink and look and look. Eye contact the whole time.
Yes.
Regardless.
Not the whole time.
Oh, not. What do you mean not the whole?
Not
you
like
said,
a psycho. You just have to at least look at each other.
Oh, so we look and then we look away? This whole time I'm thinking I've got to look at you through the glass. Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for teaching me all wine. I was about to. Next one's gonna be a dinner. I was gonna be sitting there looking at somebody as I'm drinking.
Melissa Campbell taught me.
She told me to stare while I drink.
This has been fun. Let's do it again.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll have you on my show next time.
I look forward to nothing else.
Right? Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody else for listening or watching, whatever platform you're consuming us on. I greatly appreciate it. I know the guests do as well. Look, if you're in the world of marketing and you're looking for a place to call home, check out Melissa. Or if you're a business owner and you're just wanting to go that next level, that next step, make sure you reach out to them as well. We're going to have all their stuff linked in the show notes as well as tagged in all of our social media posts. So be sure to reach out to them and let them know that Patty G sent you. And also thank you to our partners that bring you this show each and every week. We've got a little bit more about them right now.
Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Lake Men's Health Center with Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group. Guys, I know it's tough to get out and go to the doctor. I know it's challenging to find time in our busy days, but I promise you, signing up to be a part of this group with Dr. Curtis Chastain and Dr. Tyler Boudreau, you won't regret it for several reasons, but most of those being the fact of the time it saves, where you're able to get in on the same day, get that appointment done, and spend that time you need to talk with them about what your health goals and concerns are, as well as ensuring that the financial investments you have, you will be able to live out and see those come to fruition. So if you're an investing guy, you know all about and planning for the future and investing in the future. There's no other more important thing to invest in than your health. Make sure you go check them out, Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group Men's Health Center, and tell them Patty G sent you. McLavy's Limited, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show, has been serving the Baton Rouge area proudly for 40 plus years. Gentlemen and ladies, if you're shopping for your man, there is no other place in the Baton Rouge area to get your clothing, whether it's game day needs, everyday needs, business attire, formal attire, whatever you want. Go over there, see Frank and Ashley. It's a father-daughter duo. They do incredible things in their store. They will outfit you from as simply a shirt that you need for one evening or all the way to a full wardrobe overhaul. They're going to take care of you every step of the way, and be sure and let them know that Patty G Show sent you.